Somewhere between night and silence, a door begins to open. There are voices no one talks about, sounds that shouldn't exist, and stories that follow you even after the lights go out. You're stepping into a world where reality cracks, where the shadow whispers, but truth screams. Welcome to the channel Door to the Beyond. Prepare yourself, and if you have the courage, subscribe now. Let the door stay open.
Whisper from the depths of sleep.
The night in an ancient manor always brings with it a peculiar silence. A silence that is not empty, but filled with unspoken stories, ancient echoes, and whispers that drift in the dust of forgotten chambers. Our narrative begins in such a manner, the home of an old, esteemed scholar, a man who had dedicated his life to the study of forgotten languages and occult texts. Let us call him Dr. Elias, for his name, though once renowned, was now overlaid with a layer of melancholy and a strange obsession. Dr. Elias lived a solitary existence in the magnificent yet decaying manor that once belonged to his ancestors. The walls were covered with faded tapestries. The libraries sagged under the weight of thousands of volumes, and the air was perpetually thick with the scent of old paper and dampness. It was a house that breathed a life of its own, but its breath sounded like a sigh of the past Elias suffered, not from a physical ailment, but from something far worse, from nightmares. At first, they were just occasional, unpleasant dreams that could be attributed to fatigue, or poor digestion. But soon, they transformed into something far more vivid, more terrifying. They always repeated themselves, always the same scene. He stood in an infinite bottomless darkness, and from the depths, a voice spoke to him. It was not a human voice. It was a sound that resonated within him, shook his bones, filled his mind with alien images and sensations. And he always saw those eyes, not two, as if belonging to a living creature, but countless glowing points in the void, focused on him, as if they were part of the same entity. The daily study of old grimoires and forgotten legends became a refuge for Elias. He sought explanations, solace within them. But the more he read about ancient deities, about entities from outer spheres, about dreams that were gateways to other realities, the more it seemed to him that what haunted him in his sleep was not merely a figment of his mind. On one particularly stormy night, when thunder shook the manor and rain drummed against the windows, Elias was dragged into his nightmare with unprecedented force. The darkness was denser, the whisper louder, and this time, instead of just a feeling, he felt a touch, a cold, slimy touch on his skin. He tried to scream, but his voice was lost in the misty silence of the dream. He felt something trying to devour him, to pull him into that bottomless void. He awoke with a scream. The room was dark, Only a flickering candle cast long shadows. But the touch, he felt it even while awake. On his hand was a cold, damp mark resembling slime, and on the pillow lay a small, strange symbol he had never seen before. It was fashioned from something that looked like withered skin or fine parchment. His scientific mind tried to resist, but fear was stronger. He began to examine the symbol. In none of his extensive books on magic, alchemy, or occultism did he find any mention. This only confirmed his worst fears. What appeared to him was something ancient, something that predated human history and its records. Elias began to lose sleep. Every night was torture, every waking hour filled with dread of the impending plunge into the nightmare. His daytime alertness blurred. He began to see shadows moving in the corners of rooms, to hear faint whispers when he was alone. The image of those countless eyes haunted him even during the day, flickering at the edges of his vision. One bleak afternoon, as he slumped into an armchair in his library, his eyes fell upon an ancient forgotten manuscript stored deep in a dusty cabinet. It was a text written in a dialect known to few, the language of a long-vanished civilization that, according to legend, worshipped entities residing between worlds. With trembling hands, he began to read. The text spoke of the Sleepless One, a being that inhabits the realm of dreams and feeds on fear and despair. It described her as a shapeless, many-eyed entity that manifests in nightmares and gradually draws its victims into its domain. The only way to summon her, or conversely, to banish her, was a ritual that required the sacrifice of sleep until the gate between worlds opened completely. Elias understood. He himself had unknowingly summoned her through his obsessive study and desire to penetrate beyond the known. The nightmares were not just dreams, they were attacks. That entity, the Sleepless One, was trying to completely consume him. And the symbol, it was her mark, designating him as her next victim. The hunger for sleep was unbearable, but he knew that sleep was a trap. The days blurred into a single, hazy smudge of fatigue. His mind became more fragile. He began to converse with shadows, to answer the whispers he heard. He felt her presence all around him, even in his waking state. He knew she was coming. The last night was the worst. He lay in bed, his body exhausted, but his mind remained desperately awake. The room's walls seemed to breathe. From behind the library, shadows emerged, stretching, dancing, transforming into countless eyes that floated in space. The whisper intensified, now a loud, multi-voiced chorus that repeated his name and lured him into the darkness. He felt the air around him grow heavy, cold, and something creeping towards him. He saw those eyes all around him, surrounding him, penetrating him. With his last ounce of strength, Elias rose. He knew what he had to do, not to banish her, That was impossible. He had to confront her or be consumed. He crawled to the table where the strange symbol lay. He snatched it. As the symbol touched his skin, he felt a rush of coldness that coursed through his entire body. From the eyes came a whisper, even more urgent, now full of rage and defiance. The entity did not want him to resist. With desperate effort, Elias tried to concentrate. He recalled the texts he had read. The ritual was not about banishment. It was about acceptance and understanding. To open oneself, but not to fall. It was paradoxical. The last thing Dr. Elias did before the darkness completely engulfed him was to whisper a reply. A word he had found in that ancient text. A word that was neither a prayer nor an incantation, but rather a greeting. What happened next, no one knows. In the morning, the cabin was found empty. No trace of Dr. Elias, only his books scattered on the table, and an open manuscript with strange symbols. And on the pillow lay a single, perfectly formed symbol. The very same one Elias had found when he awoke from that first horrifying night. Sometimes, when the wind howls through the manor at night and shadows lengthen under the moonlight, it is said that a faint whisper can be heard. A whisper that sounds like an echo of many voices, ancient and alien. And occasionally, in the darkest corners, countless glowing eyes are said to appear, gazing into the void, as if still searching for something, or as if waiting for something, waiting for the next one who dares to enter the realm where nightmares come alive. The light is gone, but the shadows remain. If you wish to hear what was never meant to be spoken, subscribe to this channel and leave behind a trace, a thought, a whisper left in the comments. It may lead us somewhere the light has never reached.